Hello and welcome everybody, I'm Barbarian and this is of course Crusader Kings 2, but maybe you can even see it right now. Here you can see the version number. This is not the Crusader Kings 2 that you are used to on this channel, and that is not the Crusader Kings 2 that I'm used to on the channel either. This is the Crusader Kings 2 1.0 demo version. This demo is available publicly of course on various gaming magazine websites. I got this one from a German gaming magazine, 4 players I believe, and essentially it is a version that was uploaded on the 7th of February 2012. This game was released on the 14th February 2012, so just 1 week before release. And here you can play some characters. You can play a total of 20 years, and you can check out what Crusader Kings 2 1.0 truly looked like. I am very excited for this one, because yesterday we took a look at Crusader Kings Complete, of course the first Crusader Kings game, and today I want to take a look at what came from there towards Crusader Kings 2. And when I looked at this version, there were so many mechanics that have since been entirely reworked, have been changed in their complete entirety, okay? That I didn't even remember anymore. You know, when you just have like an ill thought out kind of mechanic, but at the time that this is of course released, at the time that this mechanic is implemented, it's the best that we have. You know, that's just how the tech goes. You can't really criticize the past for making do with worse versions, because those worse versions were of course required to then refine them into the better versions. Now, what am I talking about? I am talking about so many things. What you can play here is 15th September 1066. That's the only date that you can play. You can play as the King of Poland, the Duke of Bohemia, the Duke of Adrianopolis, or Duchess Matilda I of Toscana. Let's play as Dukes Mikhail of Adrianopolis. That is because we are the son of Vasilevs Konstantinos X of the Byzantine Empire, and in Crusader Kings 2 1.0 it is very easy to inherit the entire Byzantine Empire, and I think that would be interesting to check out. Now, what I want to check out first is of course the map. Oh my god, look at how Africa looks as well. It's so absolutely hideous, and when I say this, I really want to reiterate, when this came out, this was the best of the best out there. I mean, Crusader Kings Complete just went to about here. It was barely anything in terms of, you know, actually showing off, for example, these vital regions. I mean, Nubia in particular is, of course, incredibly vital, but it's not just the map that changed. I mean, look at the Cumans up here as well, and look at the Kievan Rus. Oh my god, this game was so different in 1.0. It is barely remembered. Not just that, but of course my character also looks a bit like a potato, but back in the day, this was the prime, the best of the best, the cream of the cream of face portraits right there. But you can see everything is different. I mean, I was almost going to say the interface is different, but everything is different. Religion is much less prominent. There are no further indicators of what this religion does. And let me just put down the audio a bit. I think it's a bit too loud. It might not be, but I just want to go down a bit. There is so much different in this interface alone, but none of that is what I want to highlight right away. Check this out. I'm gonna hold my mouse right next to the mic, and I'm gonna right click. Can you hear that? Can you hear that? Doesn't do anything, huh? There's no right-clicking on the map. You have to click here and then you go into the diplomacy mode. It doesn't highlight anything, it doesn't show you anything. Alternatively, you don't have to click there first, you can just do diplomacy and then you left-click around the map. That is the solution that they had. Remember, today you right-click here, then you get into this character's thing. If you right-click him, you get this neat little window, just a small interface thing that lets you interact with him. Now, back in the day, fairly similar to Crusader Kings, I would argue. You essentially do that in its own window. It is amazing to me that this was the tech in 2012 and how far we have come since then. UI, honestly, when I looked at this version, just yesterday when I downloaded and checked it out, I thought to myself, you know what? I get why there were so few people playing these games. The games, of course, that, you know, many of us have always loved. I get it, though, because, man, UI design is hard, and quite honestly, this game hadn't quite nailed it. But, again, this is not a criticism to this game. It is mostly, you know, the issue that we're looking at a game that was working with the tech understanding of UI and UX in general of 2012. These things emerge. It's similar to a tech tree, I would argue, in essentially, you know, Civ, for example, that sort of stuff. But a lot of things have changed. Now, with that being said, we're right here. Check this out. I can't control left-click either, by the way, so I can't push this apart, but you can see the map, for example, is also not just in where it goes, it's so different, but also look at this, look at Sardinia, oh my god. Look at, for example, Brittany, man, yeah, that was a different world. Look at, I mean, you know, all of this as well. Look at Spoleto, that is a wild move. I mean, Spoleto, what are you doing? I counted the provinces of, for example, Libya and Egypt. I counted them of, you know, 2 Sicilies, so essentially Sicily and Apulia. I counted them of Brittany, of, yeah, Ireland. I think there were some adjustments to the province density on this map compared to Crusader Kings Complete, but barely anything. It's not that significant. I counted Wales, I counted all of those. They are all the same numbers or at most one off. And that is perfectly fine, of course, because this was a huge revolution. I mean, Crusader Kings Complete was in this 2D interface and all of a sudden we are 3D. That's spooky as hell. So that is already an upgrade, but I'll be honest with you, the upgrade done for Crusader Kings Complete is not at all comparable to the update done for CK3. I'm seriously wondering. I would have loved to be a fly on the wall of the Crusader Kings 2 development decisions, because obviously this is a hugely new project. This is the Clausewitz engine for the first time. Crusader Kings sees it for the first time. The Clausewitz engine is visited by that game. Everything is new, everything is different, and yet so similar to, you know, the old Crusader Kings Complete. They added baronies here directly the way they did there. Now they are, of course, on the map, but in Crusader Kings Complete, you didn't even have this interface. What else is there to show off? Let's take a look around, okay? All of this is fairly normal, I would argue. It doesn't really change much. How dynasties are determined is changed now, but doesn't really matter. Laws, oh my god, the laws were so different. Look at this stuff. This is all that it is. Man, what a different world. But I think you can clearly see the Crusader Kings Complete in here. Then technology, very similar to Crusader Kings Complete. You would focus on something, so this is sort of, again, what was picked up yet again for the cultural innovation mechanic, which is amazing, except then it's the cultural leader and not just the realm leader. Then what else is going on? They changed that later. This entire text screen changed, of course, a lot in Crusader Kings 2 over the development period. You can see here I can change the tech focus, etc, etc. What else do we have? We have military. Right, the military is fascinating to me. It's absolutely beautiful. I can't show it off right now. Let's just show that off in a second. Mostly because essentially, if you are controlling an empire, when you raise the troops, so for example, the Duke of Turnovo, right? You don't raise them as a central thing in one of his provinces. You raise every province's troops all on themselves. But there's so much more to warfare. Let's just take a look at that in a second. Man, look at this. Ambitions were part of the plot screen. I am dying. That is just so good. That is so funny. Man, looking at this, they really tried to make this more and more into a character game. But looking back today, you're of course going, oh god. Man, they did so much upgrades in that. Again, this is a way better depiction than Crusader Kings had, but man, we have come such a long way, and now we get actual character lifestyle trees. I am excited. I hope you can hear that in my voice. It's just so funny to me to look at this stuff after playing normal Crusader Kings. This is where the society button is now. This, you know, used to be just the character finder. This is now factions, used to be diplomacy. We are at war, of course, but we are not the war leader. Now, what I want to show you, which is why I'm playing here. Vasilev's Constantinos X is, of course, my dear father. And since he is my father, I'm going to go and say, you know what? I'm going to assassinate you. I could, just for the record, I could theoretically plot to kill him. I'll be honest with you. Why would I do that if I could simply press the assassinate button? So let's do that. 11% chance that it kicks off immediately and 51% chance of being discovered. Costs me 50 bucks to attempt the assassination of the Vasilevs. We sadly failed. Okay, let's just fast forward a bit here. It of course runs smooth as butter, mostly because this is a tiny map, it's a tiny game, so to speak, in comparison to the modern Crusader Kings 2, of course. And we're gonna assassinate him whenever I get the money necessary. And look at that, my wife is pregnant. Same image as today. We failed yet again. I'm gonna try later. I essentially just want to kind of talk about the map as we gather more money so that I can try it again. What is also interesting to me is, and I almost forgot about that as well, that the Caliph titles were Empire tier titles. Sunni Caliphate. And then we have Caliph al-Mustanzir. Of course, the Muslims were not actually playable. The Muslims were, much like Crusader Kings Complete, well, your opponent whenever you joined the crusade, right? That's essentially what they were there for. And it is understandable, that was the game focus, but you couldn't imagine that today, could you? You know, that is just their normal set of the chess piece. You essentially, you know, expect to play them. And look at that, I have a lot of money now that one of my relatives died. Why don't we? Failed. Failed. Now I don't have any money anymore. Damn, we just can't win. Now let's take a look at the at the Euro Kingdom screen while the game rushes through. Oh my god, look at that. Look at Serbia. What is this? What happened here? What? I love it so much. This was such a different time. But then again, I believe that this was actually the first time that the Euromaps were a thing in Crusader Kings. Oh, and I'm in prison, right? He imprisoned me because I tried to assassinate him. If I die here, that's actually okay. Can I still assassinate you from prison? Oh, hell yeah. We failed. I will assassinate you sooner rather than later. Lithuania in the green color over here. Then the Rus, a gigantic kingdom. I mean, just so huge. And Khazaria, I mean, it was a filler period, right? They There were no mechanics, there were no nomads. Of course, the pagans themselves were not playable. Let's take a look at the Euro empires, because there was a time when vanilla did it, much like HIP does it, where only the Holy Roman Empire and the Byzantine Empire exist as the Euro empires. Now remember, there were no actual custom titles back in the day. Diplomatic relationships will reveal one thing to you. There's no diplomatic range. I could, if I wasn't in prison, declare war on any of my religious rivals. Meaning all of the Muslims over here, all the Romuva, all the Sumonescu, Somenusko, I think that's how you pronounce it. All of the pagans over here, you know, is this Tengri? Is this actually marked down as Tengri? Let's take a look. Who are you? You're Tengri, yeah, but all of them are in the pagan group instead of course, their own group. Man, there is so much in this. Look at the color of Orthodoxy. I love it. I love that so much. A bit more rudimentary, don't you think? I mean, Germany is this gigantic thing. Practically all of the HRE, right? There was no Bavaria, there was no Frisia, there was no Franconia, none of that stuff going on. Now let me see, I just inherited a lot of money. Oh, I'm actually just the emperor. He passed away. I'm out, boys. I did it. Okay, so here's the interesting thing. And look at Mega Armenia as well. But here is the interesting thing. And let's see if we are lucky. No, we're not lucky. Okay, I need to make people a bit angry. I'm just gonna win this war here, the Seljuk invasion, that, by the way, in 1.0 was only for the Duchy of Armenia. It was not actually an invasion, because invasions didn't exist. But what I'm gonna do is here, I'm gonna end this war by sieging this down, of course. Still fairly similar in terms of how it works. You can see he lost piety, he lost prestige. We easily defeated him. I mean, I didn't really do anything. You could say it was my father, but eh. Now, what is important here? Now that this defensive war is over, let me explain how rebellions work. Rebellions, effectively, are a random chance every year. Yearly revolt risk of this character is 16% because he has a minus 46 opinion, which right here is plus 46%, and then same culture and same religion, kind of, you know, make him a bit lower, but he just has a random chance. Every single Vassal rebellion, and I believe this was the same in Crusader Kings Complete, although I don't remember it properly because I haven't played that game in ages, and even yesterday didn't refresh me enough, but the way I believe it to be is that this is practically Crusader Kings Complete, where this mechanic makes it so, and we're going to see this here, because I'm not going to do anything about this. Oh, actually, let me just do something about one of these. So this guy, minus 46 opinion, if I go here and just go ahead and, you know, let's say, oh, why don't you take the Duchy of Vidin, feel good about that, he will disappear from this list, because his opinion is everything. Opinion is the only thing that matters whether they will rebel. They do not care for their strength. They will simply go and rebel against you. If they are considerably weaker, remember factions today, they have like a strength ratio of like 80%, and then they will consider rebelling. There's a chance that they might rebel at that point, and once they're at like 120%, that chance is very, very high, etc, etc. Back then, they did not care. They simply said, you know what, I'm real angry, and I'm gonna rebel if I ever get this tick to fire for me. So, why don't we, after I showed you know, I gave him land, now he's no longer in the list because he's happy now, why don't we just let him rebel? Oh, there he goes. Howdy, Samos. Right, I can't even tell that you are on a war in your character interface. I have to go to the diplomacy interface. Look at that. Depose Vasilevs Mikhail VII of Byzantine Empire, right? He chose to depose me. He chose something else, I assume. What did you choose? Sometimes they want to depose you. Sometimes they don't want to depose you. They just want independence. Let's take a look at you. There he goes, Mesopotamian independence. They will simply random one of the potential reasons for rebellion. Sometimes it's deposing, sometimes it is independence. Now let's jump out of the Byzantine Empire, because that is exactly what I wanted to show off in terms of, you know, vassal rebellions. It just was so different. I did not remember the independent rebellions for a long time. Them all being sucked up into essentially a, you know, rebel kingdom, or rebel, well, same title, whatever your title is so semi-new. And also, by the way, have you seen these borders of Bohemia? Let's play the Duke of Bohemia, because what I want to show off, first of all, I'm the Duke of Bohemia, right? We can all see that, we can all appreciate that, right? Well, I decided there's no, it's so good, it's just so good, it gets me really good, because Crusader Kings 2 was such a huge step up, and then the old guards came out, and some systems got reworked, some systems got expanded. You could finally play the pagans, of course, but I have to tell you, the game was so different, and especially UI-wise. Here's something. Let's say I'm the Duke of Bohemia, and let's say I'm very angry at this fella. I'm apparently not very angry, because I clearly do not have a claim. Let me just see how much time. Okay, you know what? I think we can spend that time to actually get a claim so that I can show it off. Yeah, whatever, bruh. When you want to, and here you can see it right here, where he just raised these armies, he raised every single province's army, so they don't get unified, even if they are his direct, or rather are underneath one of his direct vassals. Now let me just see here, I just need the claim, please. 10% yearly, you gotta figure that out, come on now, the game runs buttery smooth. Oh, by the way, yeah, now that you see green Silesia, green Poland, certainly a different experience, isn't it? Man, this is a wild game. Now, just give me the claim, or can I declare against anybody else? Okay, I can declare. Oh no, that's just my liege lord. I don't care for that. I want to declare against someone in my realm, because the way that you would have to struggle to find out how many troops, and did you just see them raise them everywhere? How many troops your opponent will have is quite circumnavigating the world, essentially. I thought about this, and I thought it was a fever dream. When I thought how this used to work, I thought that I was convinced of something that wasn't true, that I was misremembering something. But let's just say I have a claim. They didn't give me a claim because the game hates me. I want to attack Duke Otto of Meissen. There's nothing here indicating how many troops he has, you know, nothing going on here. I can see it certainly doesn't like me. What I have to do is I go into the realm tree, and then I look for him. I look for his sigil, is right here. And then I see total levy of my top liege, of course, and then total levy of Duke Otto I of Meissen, 759. That is how you find out. And that is the only way to do it. The ledger doesn't even actually maintain that information, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, they might... no, that's mine. Let me see. They might. I just want to make sure that I'm not saying nonsense here. Ah, no, okay. It does actually say here. You know what? I'm proven wrong, and I'll take that. I always used to do it with this realm tree right here. Now, the dynasty tree and all that stuff hasn't really changed much, but you can see, I mean, the portraits, of course, and all of this stuff. The family icons have changed so significantly. Salian, House Salian, yeah, sure, buddy. Now, what I really want to pinpoint is just essentially the user friendliness. But again, really need to stress, the user friendliness was all, you know, as we say in Germany, Neuland. It was all new land. We had to explore it all and had to get the player feedback. You know, when this was developed, I assume they had about, what, 12 developers maybe 20? I don't want to go any higher. That is my educated guess, but also maybe uneducated guess. How much playtesting can you really do for a game as massive as this? This game being built despite having such user unfriendliness, and again, they tried their best, but let's be real, in comparison to even what we have in CK2, it is very user unfriendly, and CK2 is still quite user unfriendly, but the way they built it, it's a miracle to me that this actually made it to the, you know, major legacy of grand strategy that it is today. It's incredible that it received all of that long-term development and that all worked out. I love it, but that is incredible to me. Now, with that being said, why don't I just go and, you know, to finish this off, to kind of knock this one out, we're gonna declare a holy war here for Valencia. Ah, you know what, screw that. Let's just go for Cordoba. Should be fairly easy. Now, I don't have any, you know what, no, actually, this is the wrong way to do this. I want to play Matilda, because I essentially want to show one thing off. That is no longer the case, but in early Crusader Kings, the AI, and this is just how the programming works, so to speak, the AI literally does not comprehend the fact that there are boats. They use the boats, but they don't know when you are around with your boats. Meaning, you can ambush them whenever you want, and there is, and I mean this seriously, there is no penalty to landing. By that I mean, of course, when you land with your fleets and you land into them, you get a penalty for amphibious landing, but there is no penalty. Oh, and alt doesn't work, huh? Wow, okay, the alt left click does not work. I did not remember that. Where did I put you? I put you over there. So I can't even alt select the ships, I have to do it manually. But essentially, when you land next to them, your morale will immediately be full and you can walk into them. Of course, does not work that way anymore. And that's a good thing. Now, I declared that war, and I'm just going to go over there. I'm going to take Cordoba. I assume we probably got some people here trying to join this war on the enemy side, but we can figure it out. Let's just finish a war. Let's just get this done. If I remember this correctly as well, who are you? Oh, right, you're just a random rebellion that had revolt risk and decided now was the time. Classic CK2 1.0. What I'm really interested in here, there you go. I cannot even name my army leaders because crown authority is too low. It was bound to that. It's amazing, isn't it? This game is such a different beast. Now let's see if we can even find their people, because I do want to fight them. There they are. You won't really see it here, but battles in CK2 1.0 are so much more decisive, but in a bad way, because there's no shattered retreat. You can just insta-wipe everybody, but you don't even need multiple battles. The first battle essentially just wipes them fully. There's no lock-in, and there is of course also no game rules. I mean, man, this game became so much better. And I will tell you, and you don't have to agree with me, they just walked into me. They hated living. I will tell you, what I'm showing you right here was insanely amazing in Crusader Kings II 2012. So when I talk about this, when I laugh about it, I don't do that in saying, oh, what a bad game. What I mean to say is, man, we were behind in tech. And I really hope that in 2025, I can look back and say, look at CK2, what a load of nonsense. And there you go. I just conquered Cordoba. Isn't that a journey? Now, if you want to play this game, I will put the link. You can download it. It's public, it's legal, it's perfectly fine. It's a demo. I will put that into the description. And yeah, well, it's a different experience. But man, it was such a great time back in the day. I really hope that I will be able to remember CK2 in a similar fashion once CK3 is all out and set and done. With that being said though, again, I want to thank the members of the channel that are making these videos and any video on the channel truly possible. Namely the Barons Achilles, Know-How, Charlie, Eterna, Falling Phoenix, Rex Romanorum, Jacob, the Moose, Yelago, Dan, Florian, MFA, Mitchell, Aaron, Stefan and Snywolf. Then of course also the Counts, Lachlan, Kazen, Wombat, Thomas and Shifty. And last but not least the absolutely beautiful Dukes, Eric, Kiriana, Goodfield, Nathan, Jack, Kenneth and Lex. So thank you all for supporting the channel. Let's have one last look at these odd borders. What is even what is this? Alright, have a good one everybody. Cheers. Later, alligator.